Well, let's talk about some of our favorite topic, right? Alcohol stocks been the flavor of this season. Why are investors guzzling them down? Nigel, first tell us, are you guzzling them down? And then why are investors doing so?
I'm sipping, not guzzling. But health first. But I'll tell you what, the bulls, they have been guzzling the alcohol stocks actually. Because in the last 1 year or so, well, you look at United Breweries, United Spirits, Radhika Kaitan, well, all of them, they have been on fire, giving you big returns. So I said, let's delve a little bit more and let's look at the potential reasons why, in fact, these stocks are up and about. Premiumization, that's the big theme out there. Radhika Kaitan, in the past week itself, they launched a single malt, and I'll tell you what, per bottle, they launched it at 5 lakh rupees. Limited edition, only 400 bottles, but almost sold out. So that's the kind of demand you have for in terms of premiumization. United Spirits, you look at their mix, prestige and above, it used to be much lower as a percentage of their total mix. But in the last few years, some of the popular brands have been sold, and prestige and above is contributing far more, clearly showing the focus out there. United Breweries as well, the new in charge came in there, and he said, premiumization is something I'm focusing on. They also highlighted that beers under-penetrated in the urban market, so they said that that'll be a focal point. And a lot of, focus in terms of the new launches as well. And it's helped them because in Karnataka, they have pulled back some market share, and premiumization as well as a percentage of the mix has gradually moving up. Next up, so that was the first reason, premiumization. The next up is less of regulatory intervention. For example, in terms of tax rates, the excise rate on United Breweries' gross sales, well, between 2009 to 2014, it went up from around 32% to 45%. Then it went to around 55%. But in the last few years, it's been more or less stable. So when the taxes are more or less stable, well, that's what helps the business. We've seen this even with ITC. There's not been any big tweaking in terms of taxes out there. And that's why the cigarette volume growth has been fairly good. So some stabilization in terms of taxes, that's what's helped them as well. Now the street is getting a little bit optimistic. Can margins improve from here on? There's a focus on premiumization, so that obviously helps. Barley prices, they had shot up. Now they've come down a little bit, and the crop is good. So in all probability, barley prices will be fairly, well-behaved. E&E inflation is not as high as expected. So that's worked in their favor as well. And glass bottle prices, well, they have been under control. So all these factors put together, the street believes maybe, in fact, margins could look up from here on. The other toss-up is between alcohol companies and FMCG companies. Now, you're going to get better growth coming in from some of these alcohol beverage companies. So maybe that's why you're seeing more amount of money flowing out there. It could be nearly around 1.5 to around 2 times in terms of growth in comparison to these FMCG companies. And also some of these companies are more urban facing, and we know rural India has been a little of a problem pocket. So maybe that could be another factor as well. And finally, the India-UK FTA treaty, that's something that you're waiting by for. It could lower the prices of scotch, so that's why it could help volumes as well. Margins could be capped, but that's another trigger that you're looking at. And finally, it's elections, so the verdict is split out there. Whether during elections you see higher consumption, higher sales, or because there are more number of dry days, well, we'll see how that goes. But I didn't get any big trend out there, but it's a toss-up between the two. And finally, I'm going to get Andrew's view in terms of what is the view on the stocks. But drink because you're happy, but never because you're miserable. That's a quote that I thought, it fits pretty well getting into the weekend. Well, Andrew, that's my quote, but I wanted to ask you, what about the alcohol stocks? What's your take on that? They've done very well, mind you. In a few hours, I'll be sipping one, but what's the view on the stocks?
Yeah,